Hey everyone, Hurricane Liz here, and on this week's Q&A, boy, we got some great questions. Not only do we have dropshipping questions, we also have KDP questions, but we also have some suggestions for your favorite topic, Amazon advertising. So I cannot wait to show you guys this. I'm super fired up about this one. There was some terrific questions this week. Keep them coming, put them below. I always personally answer them, but let's get started and let's do this. All right, so we got some questions here. Here's the first one. LP says, dude, I started watching your videos while on my treadmill in the morning. Your high energy pumps me up more than a workout playlist. LOL. Thanks for the amazing comment. That pumps me up even more. You know that? That's how I love to start these Q&As. And I really do hope that I pump you guys up. I wish I could actually start watching my own videos, and I might just do that when I try to get pumped up for my workout, because sometimes I roll out of bed and I'm like, I don't really want to go. So LP, thank you, girl. I'm super happy that I read an actual question of the week like that. Let's go on to the next one. Now, I will warn you guys, there's a bunch of questions about dropshipping. So if you love dropshipping, you want to stay tuned. But if you don't, then fast forward, because we do have some KDP ones coming right up. So Music says, I was about to say Marcus, that goes to show you guys how good I can see and how good I can read, which is not that good. Has Amazon shut your account down yet? They have been doing this for a lot of drop shippers lately. The answer to that, Music Matters, is yes, they shut one down, but the other two I shut down myself. And that is simply because of the fact that I told you guys and girls, drop shipping is not a good long-term business model. I recognize the fact that I could make some quick cash during COVID, and now I'm ducking the hell out and I'm trying to get that last one back. Thankfully, all it has is $1,000 stuck in it. So if they end up keeping that like they did another $6,000 that they kept from me years ago, well, so be it. I've already cried and kissed that goodbye. I'm not going to shed any more tears for that $1,000. I'm over it. Next. All right, so the next question is by Cipiella AA, who asks, hi, do I have to sign a dropshipping contract with a wholesaler before starting cooperation? How does Amazon verify whether the goods are sent to me by a wholesaler? And can only a manufacturer, wholesaler, or any distributor be a dropshipper? All right, so here is the lowdown on all that. Yes, you can get a third-party company to allow you to drop ship their goods. You're going to need some sort of invoices to prove that you are legit, and you're going to need, I believe it's called a letter of something. I forget what it's called exactly, but you're going to need a letter from the company that says, hey, we allow Cipiella to drop ship our shit. He's 100% legit, and we say that he's allowed to do so. So that if Amazon asks you, you turn those letters in along with the invoices, and then you're good to go. But other than that, if you just start selling random stuff from Walmart, Home Depot, and all those sites, they will at some point shut you down, and they will at some point ask for invoices. And if you cannot provide them, I mean, you can provide ones that you got from online or receipts that you got, but that's not going to be good enough. They're not going to be happy with that, and they're going to continue to ask you for actual letters of, I forget what they're called, letters of something, and or they're going to ask you for real invoices. So I have a couple letters from a couple companies, but even those won't work in all situations. They might need to know the letter from the exact manufacturer that you were actually selling. So again, that's why I don't recommend dropshipping. All right, the next one is from Richard. He says he understands dropshipping is not only against Amazon TOS, but it will also get you banned. Moreover, you mentioned they want to focus on brand-centric products. Can you talk more about this? For example, should we have our own white label brand products selling on there instead? So Richard, you got a couple choices. Your couple choices are, yes, private label brands that you create are possibly one of the better ways to do it, but you will have to invest quite a bit of money. You will have to show them that you're brand-centric by doing things like getting a trademark and doing all sorts of things like that. And remember, the bar is getting higher and higher for entry into Amazon, and they're doing that for a reason. They only want legitimate brands. So the window of opportunity on that is closing faster than you can imagine. So if you haven't already jumped in on that, then you want to, but you can still very well do the wholesaling model, but you will need to get permission from the actual manufacturers to sell their products, as opposed to before. Before, I could have walked into Walmart, sold any kind of shit that I wanted, but now big brands are getting more smart to that. So they're starting to realize that their presence on Amazon is being abused, or their prices are being bludgeoned to death and coming down to lower and lower than even the Chinese, and they don't want that. They have something usually in place called MAP pricing, which means it's a pricing that you have to stick to on third-party platforms when you sell, but not a lot of them are aware that they're even on these platforms. And as they get more and more wise, less and less of us are going to be able to sell those, because Amazon is going to require permission, just like Nike did, just like Lego did, just like Disney did, just like all the big brands are starting to do. So The amount of products that a person can go out there and retail arbitrage, they're getting smaller and smaller. The restrictions are getting tighter and tighter. So again, to get an Amazon account is even itself becoming more and more difficult. Now you have to have a one-on-one Zoom meeting, when in the past, they would have given you a free month and given it to any ass clown. So guys and girls, if you don't have an Amazon FBA account, I do highly recommend you get one before the bar is raised so high that you cannot get one. And hopefully that helps you, Richard, but you can still wholesale, you can still do retail arbitrage, you can still do all that. Just be aware, because they're gonna constantly ask you for more and more information. All right, Andre asks, I illustrated the Dino book on the list. Too bad I'm not making royalties. Well, Andre, there's nothing promised, no guarantees. Dino books are hot, but now you gotta solve the second piece of the puzzle, which is getting a book ranked. So don't just stop with one book. You can't expect to make a fortune with one book. You got to keep piling up those books. There's a lot of people that have thousands and thousands of books. Money is in the numbers with some actual strategies. So when you first start, you got to spray and pray until you get a winner, and then you figure out what niche you're supposed to go into, and then you can actually capitalize on that niche. All right, next up, Sweet Anilla says, thanks Liz, I just followed your steps and my books are indexed for keywords. How can I bring them out of the graveyard? So this is the Amazon graveyard. How do we get out of that? I got a special video coming up that's going to solve that mystery and show you all the options that you have in order to get out of the Amazon graveyard. I'm going to have to test a couple of them myself because I'm not even sure that they work. Some of them are theoretical, but some of them are actual. So I will show you all the plans that I have. You guys can go out there and help me test them. But ads are one of them. So yes, take a look at the last week's Q&A where a couple of geniuses out there showed and shared with me their strategies for Amazon PPC for their KDP books. I said it, I'm getting better. Better watch out. So thank you, Sweet Nilla, for that question. Awesome question. Osama says, thank you, Liz. I have a question. The majority of sales came from the UK and other European markets, but none from the US. And am I the only one facing this? Is there a reason why? Yes, absolutely. That is because the US is saturated and it's overflooded with a lot of brand new books coming in daily, especially now headed into the Christmas season. Now, the other markets are not as saturated. The same thing happened with Amazon FBA several years ago when there was hardly anyone in the European markets because of the fact that the sales were very low. But now the European markets are extremely fertile. So what does that mean with KDP? Well, it means that the same thing might happen. So don't let that deter you, Osama. Keep making books the way you're doing and keep selling in the European markets. You might get a big winner in there one day because of the fact that you were a pioneer in jumping into the European markets. So keep it up. A sale is a sale no matter where it's happening. Domus asks, my sales are not stable. For example, on one day I get 4 sales and the other day 6. And then after nothing. Is there a problem or what? The difficult thing to answer here, Domus, is that KDP does not really give you any statistical data on how many people are landing on your actual listings, which would be invaluable information, but they hog that information to themselves and they won't tell us. It's much different with FBA, but I might break down a couple different ways that you can tell this on a future episode of something that I called KDP Doctor, which one of the viewers suggested. So I will make sure to go into this first, but the reality is you really can't tell what's going on. And that is because, again, Amazon hoards their data, but I will kind of give you some tips and tricks on how you can kind of get an idea of what's happening. So we'll go over that in a future episode. Gaz says, hey Liz, I'm exhausted with watching the crazy last video that I put. I don't even know what it was. With ads, try the sponsored product targeting method. Here's a great tip, okay, guys and girls. What I do is create an eye-catching cover for my KDP books and manually target the top 25 BSRs in the niche, along with the top 20 new release in the same niche. So basically, he's doing what we talked about, the product ad, which we talked about that hadn't been working for me, but he's kind of telling me how that works for him. I usually get an ACoS between 5 and 7 for 0.05 to 12 cents cost per click, and CTRs between 1 and 2. Your energy's infectious. It's like you're a hurricane or something. Wow. Thank you, Gaz. Although I've been told on one occasion when somebody met me in person that I was more like a tropical storm. So I was a little sad about that. But anyways, I'm not a tropical storm. I am a hurricane. And Gaz, this is an amazing actual tip. Notice that he mentions that his cost per click are 0.5 to 0.12. I would guess Gaz is probably bidding around 21 cents to 30 cents. That's just my guess. That's where I will at least try and test this method, and I will actually do it today so that I can give you guys the results on one of my 30-day challenge videos. But Gaz, thanks so much for this tip. I think it's amazing, and thanks so much for the compliment. Mr. Daily Wealth, one of my favorite people that comments like almost every video. I love this dude. Hi, Liz, you got me started with KDP, so here's my new secret sauce, is to always add 2 specific negative targets to my AMS spiral and hardcover. Those changes took his ACOS down almost 4%. I can even count that number, boys and girls. Mr. Daily Wealth, that's awesome. So all he basically does, kids, is he negative exacts the word spiral and hardcover, so his actual books don't show up for those. So that's pretty awesome. I'm going to also test that, and I'm going to do one with and one without and see what happens. But Mr. Daily Wealth, you're the man. Thank you so much. Next question. Art says, hey Liz, could you explain why a t-shirt approved 2 months ago on merch is not searchable on Amazon, even if I search for the exact title I use? So Art, I would look at the actual video that I talked about. I believe it was Amazon Graveyard. Amazon Graveyard video will explain to you what the difference between ranking and indexing is. Check if you are indexed. If you're indexed, it just happens that you fell into the Amazon Graveyard. So in the future, I will show you guys an Amazon Graveyard part 2 and how to get out of that stinking graveyard. I'm going to show you guys how to be zombies and climb out of there and really mess with people's brains. That's what I'm going to do on Amazon Graveyard part 2. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you guys are too. And Art, again, watch that video. All right, and that's pretty much a wrap of questions of the week. Again, if you got any other questions that I did not cover, please place them below. I always personally answer them. But other than that, thanks so much, everyone, for your questions and your suggestions and your tips. I love you guys. I couldn't do this without you. I'll see you next time.